Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your curiosity, grab a whole stack of sources, and really distill the most important bits of knowledge and insight just for you. Think of it as your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed, hopefully with plenty of aha moments. Today we are doing a deep dive into, well, one of the real heavyweights of American literature, Harper Lee's Pulitzer Prize-winning classic, To Kill a Mockingbird. You sent us some fantastic summaries and thoughts, and our goal today is really to unpack this powerful story. We want to explore its core themes and figure out why it still hits so hard, decades later.
Absolutely. It's such a foundational book. It explores some incredibly deep ideas, racial injustice, moral integrity, and that universal experience of growing up, of coming of age. So we'll be navigating through the plot at key moments and trying to pull out the wisdom that really makes it, well, timeless.
Okay, before we get into the big themes and the impact, let's just ground ourselves a bit. For anyone listening, remind us about the world Harper Lee built here. What's the setting, the overall feel?
All right, so we're talking Macomb, Alabama. It's fictional, but feels very real. Set during the 1930s, right smack in the Great Depression, Harper Lee's novel, published in 1960, it cleverly weaves together Southern Gothic elements.
Ah, Southern Gothic. That dark, slightly unsettling feel, right?
Exactly. That style with, decaying settings, complex psychology, often in the American South, Lee blends that with a classic coming-of-age story and a really gripping legal drama, too.
Okay, yeah, the Deep South in the 30s. That immediately sets a very specific stage, doesn't it, for the kind of tensions and the world that young Scout Finch is navigating. And what's so clever, I think, is how Lee introduces these heavy themes right from the start, but through the eyes of a child, through Jean-Louis Scout Finch.
Precisely. The story just drops you right into Scout's world. There's her older brother Jem, their father Atticus, who's a widower, and Calpurnia, their housekeeper, who's like a second mother, and their friend Dill, who visits in the summer. The games, their fascination with Boo Radley, the recluse next door. It all seems like childhood innocence at first.
The stories they make up about Boo.
Right. But it's more than just kids' games. It's laying the groundwork for understanding prejudice, how we view outsiders, and those little gifts they start finding in the knothole of the Radley tree.
The gum, the coins.
Yeah, the soap figures. They're so symbolic, aren't they? They suggest this quiet connection, someone misunderstood trying to reach out.
And while all this is going on, Scout's starting school, she's bumping up against society's expectations. And it's around this time her father, Atticus, shares that really profound piece of wisdom about empathy.
Oh, absolutely central. That famous line, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. That's not just, fatherly advice. It becomes the moral compass for the whole book. It's preparing Scout and us for the challenges ahead. It's key to her growth.
Which brings us squarely into the second part, where the tone really shifts. Things get serious.
Yeah.
Atticus agrees to defend Tom Robinson.
Yes. A black man, falsely accused of raping a white woman, Mayella Ewell.
And this decision, what does it immediately tell us about Macomb, the town's reaction?
Well, it instantly lays bare the town's deep, deep racial prejudice. Atticus taking the case, knowing the inevitable backlash, that right there is the core of his moral integrity. And the bullying Scout and Jem face, it's not just kids being mean, it's the town pushing back, resisting any challenge to the established racial order. It really foreshadows the injustice to come.
So the trial itself isn't just about guilt or innocence in a legal sense, is it? It becomes this dissection of the community's morals. What does Lee show us about the Ewells versus Tom Robinson?
Lee does it brilliantly. She just peels back the layers. Tom Robinson is shown to be, well, honest, decent, kind. He even has a physical disability that makes the crime itself impossible for him. And then you have the Ewells. Mayella is revealed as, frankly, pitiful, trapped by her abusive, ignorant father, Bob Ewell. It becomes clear he beat her and forced her to lie.
To cover his own shame and violence.
Exactly. The trial exposes the lies the community tells itself, the deeply ingrained racism that trumps any kind of actual evidence.
So Atticus delivers this incredible defense, powerful, logical, clearly shows Tom is innocent, points the finger right back at Bob Ewell. And yet, what happens and what does that outcome signify?
And yet, the all-white jury convicts Tom. It's purely based on his race. The evidence doesn't matter. And that moment, it's just crushing for Jem. He sees the system fail. He realizes justice isn't guaranteed, especially not when racism is involved.
That loss of innocence is so palpable.
It truly is. And then later, Tom tries to escape prison, desperate, and he's shot and killed. It just underscores the point. In Macomb, if you're black, Innocence is no shield. Prejudice wins over truth. It's a brutal indictment.
And the bitterness doesn't end there, does it? Bob Ewell feels slighted, humiliated by Atticus in court. Even though he technically won, he wants revenge.
Yes, the fallout is immediate. Ewell spits in Atticus's face, harasses Tom's widow, and then ultimately he attacks Scout and Jem on Halloween night as they're walking home in the dark.
A terrifying moment. But then, something completely unexpected happens.
Yeah.
The person they feared becomes their rescuer.
And this is just masterful storytelling by Lee. It perfectly circles back to that theme of empathy and judging others. Beau Radley, Arthur Radley, the neighborhood mystery, steps out. He saves the children, he intervenes, and in the struggle, Bob Ewell is killed.
And Scout finally sees him, sees the real Boo Radley.
Yes. Not the monster they imagine, but this gentle, intensely shy man. It's that moment Atticus prepared her for. She stands on Boo's porch later, looking out at the neighborhood from his perspective, literally climbing into his skin.
Such a powerful callback. And then there's the decision by the sheriff, Heck Tate, to protect Boo.
Right. This raises really interesting questions about justice versus maybe doing what's morally right. Tate insists Bob Ewell fell on his own knife.
He knows Boo did it, but he wants to shield him.
Exactly. Shield him from the attention, the publicity, the very community that misunderstood him for so long. Atticus, after a moment, understands and agrees. It's about protecting innocence, protecting a mockingbird. Scout understands it too. It shows how much she's grown in empathy. Sometimes protecting someone innocent requires a different kind of justice.
So, if we sort of pull back from the plot now, what are the big takeaways? What are the core themes Harper Lee really wants us, the readers, to wrestle with?
Well, connecting it all, several huge themes stand out. Obviously, there's racial injustice. Lee shows not just that it exists, but how it works through ingrained bias, through fear, even among people who might know better. It's systemic.
A moral sickness in the town.
Absolutely. Then there's the loss of innocence. We see it so clearly in Jem, especially, but Scout too. It's not just about growing up. It's about realizing the world isn't inherently fair or just. That's a painful lesson.
And Atticus. He really represents moral integrity, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Standing firm against, well, almost everyone.
He's the moral center, which ties into empathy and understanding. That core message from Atticus, seeing things from another's perspective, it's presented not just as nice, but as necessary. Lee forces us to look past assumptions.
It challenges you to do the work.
It does. And finally, there's the complexity of the coexistence of good and evil. Maycomb isn't all bad. There's kindness, there's courage, but it exists right alongside deep prejudice and cruelty. People are complicated.
And some of those famous quotes really capture these ideas so well, like, the one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience. That's pure Atticus.
Definitely. Or people generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for, which speaks volumes about the trial, about prejudice itself.
And the big one.
The title quote, yes. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
It ties it all together. Protecting the innocent, the vulnerable. Tom Robinson, Boo Radley. They are the mockingbirds.
Exactly. That metaphor just encapsulates the novel's enduring message about justice, perception, and the moral imperative to protect those who do no harm.
Wow. What a journey back through To Kill a Mockingbird. We've covered childhood perceptions, faced those harsh realities of injustice, and landed on these profound lessons about empathy. It's so clear why this book is still vital.
It really is. The story reminds us, I think, that even when facing overwhelming prejudice, one person's moral courage can matter. And that real understanding, true understanding, often requires us to genuinely step outside ourselves.
So maybe here's the thought to leave you with until our next deep dive. The next time you find yourself judging someone quickly or seeing a situation as just black and white, maybe ask yourself, am I really trying to see this from their point of view? Have I actually tried to climb into their skin and walk around in it, like Atticus said? It's something to think about.